Welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning on Channels Television, and we're still looking at Nigeria's import waiver, the issues and challenges. And I still have here with me Dr. Ikenna Nwosu. He is a member Freight Forwarders Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much for staying on.
Thank you.
Right. Talking about this whole issue of waiver and all that is all about trade facilitation. Now. The Nigerian Customs Service, has a major role to play in fiscal policy implementation, especially the aspects that relate to tariff and import prohibitions. How well do you think the Customs has discharged its responsibility in this regard?
Well, the primary role of Customs, as a World Customs Organization has always said, is trade facilitation. In the recent past, the Customs Service has upped its game. They've undertaken internal reforms to improve trade facilitation processes and fiscal policy implementation. On the average, they've done very well, as far as the OPS is concerned, but there are areas for major improvement. Under the new destination inspection scheme, commenced on the 1st of December last year, where the Customs is in charge of the destination inspection and known by the service providers in the past. Naturally, as was said in the program a week or two ago, it's a new system in place, and naturally, they expected some hitches. So there were some delays in the process, some challenges, some have been overcome, some are still there, and what we expect is that those challenges should be surmounted, because the trade facilitation process, the fiscal implementation process, fiscal policy implementation process should not experience any challenges that will last too long. Because mind you, many letter of credit transactions are time-based, 90 days, 60, 120. If you watch in the recent past, a number of public policy commentations have been made about the role of Customs and fiscal policy implementation. And our take is that yes, they've done well, but there are areas for improvement. That's my byline. All
right. Now, tariff classification, is always a source of frequent disputes between customs and importers. Okay. And of course, the process of resolution of such disputes is often very slow and cumbersome. So, what's the way out of this?
Well, under the new import destination inspection guidelines issued by the Federal Ministry of Finance, if there is a dispute between the customs and an importer, the importer will produce an indemnity. I believe it could be a bank indemnity, or it could be corporate indemnity, and take your goods, and then the query is handled post-mortem. If you don't agree with customs, go to the Federal Ministry of Finance. If you don't agree with the Federal Ministry of Finance, you also have the court process. Of course, the World Customs Organization is the final arbiter in that regard. So I think the Federal Ministry of Finance guidelines on destination inspection appropriately handle that aspect. The good news about it is that the query can be handled post-mortem, so that the goods don't accumulate demurrage. Otherwise, the demurrage is passed on to the final consumer, and that's not good in the long run. So I think that's a step in the right direction in speeding up the dispute resolution processes. But that's on paper. And in practice, we expect that customs will do their best to ensure that that process is implemented to the letter.
Okay. Now, you did mention smuggling,
yes,
as part of the abuses when we're talking about the waivers and all of that. And I know that many industrialists have complained of influx of cheap products into the country, and this is actually affecting them. And I also remember you talked about perhaps liberalizing trade, letting people bring in. So this is one of the fears. When you have to do that, you let people bring in trade. People they tend to bring in substandard products.
Well, the Standards Organization of Nigeria is the statutory body in charge of maintaining standards in the country. They've been doing a very good job. A lot of advocacy on keeping to standard. And if you notice within this week, the recent concerns about the quality of cement, they've set up a committee in that regard. Now, I know that the SAN has been working very closely with the OPS, particularly MAN and the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, to check smuggling, as well as with customs. Customs have been doing a good job in terms of trying to police the borders, but the borders are very porous, and it's quite capital intensive for government to close them up, but it needs to be done if what the president launched yesterday is going to succeed. So, for what you said, there are linkages. The manufacturers are worried that smuggling is an impediment to their success, and what is smuggled is usually substandard. So it requires linkages between the Standard Organization of Nigeria, the Nigeria Customs Service, the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, and several other stakeholders to resolve the problem. I know that recently the Association of Rice Importers donated vehicles to customs to assist in combating smuggling. MAN has also done that in the past, some of their members. So I think that war is in the process of being won, but it's not a one-day victory. It's a process.
Yeah, but looking at the trade, looking at the trade policy we have, how much protection are local industrialists getting?
Protection against
smuggling, the smugglers.
Well, the protection measures are there. The question is, in practice, what do we have on the ground? There is a new initiative at the regional level, ECOWAS. There is an inter-regional force at the borders of each country. Now, the ECOWAS Protocol on Free Movement of Goods and Services says you shouldn't have more than one checkpoint in each country. Now, we know that smugglers have taken advantage of that because there's only one checkpoint to go through the porous borders. The trade policy of the country contains measures to protect manufacturers. That is what we have seen, that in the even being championed by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. But the practical implementation of those protective measures is where we need to fill some gaps so that the manufacturers will get the full benefit of the measures.
All right, going forward, talking about this waivers, what do you think should be the ultimate solution? Now, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aminu Tambawa, had suggested or had asked that the waiver should be scrapped. But from all indications, you think, that shouldn't, be the answer to the problem, because we might be sending wrong signal to perhaps prospective investors. So what, in your own view, should be the ultimate solution to all of this so that Nigeria would not be at loss? We wouldn't have to lose our revenue because of, abuses in implementing some of these policies. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that question. In answering the question, I'd like to rephrase the definition of waivers. Waivers are technically called incentives. They are fiscal policy incentives. Because the term waivers gives a wrong impression that it's a discretionary thing done. Now, these incentives are carefully, under this government now, not talking about in the past, the incentive regimes are carefully crafted after stakeholder engagement. And then we come to an agreement on the framework for the incentives. To going forward, I think, speaking on behalf of the organized private sector, and particularly the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, going forward, we believe it will be a wrong step for the National Assembly, particularly the House of Reps, to scrap all waiver regimes under approved incentives. Some of them even can be scrapped because some are legislated, some are regional. Rather, what we expect should happen is that a complete SWOT analysis should be done with all stakeholders involved. No playing to the gallery. We need to sit down, all the stakeholders, with the National Assembly being the pivot. Critically look at this, because most industrialized countries, particularly the Asian tigers, catalyze their industrialization by careful crafting and implementation of attractive incentive regimes. That's my final take on that.
All right, thank you very much, Ikenna. It's quite an interesting conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the program.
My pleasure.
Well, I've been speaking with Dr. Ikenna Nwosu. He is a member of Freight Forwarders Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, and we've been looking at Nigeria's waiver regime, looking at the issues and the challenges there. Well, it's on that note that we draw the curtain on today's edition of the program. Thank you very much for watching. Do remember to join us again, same time tomorrow. I'm Chimizi Obi Iwakwa. Up next is...